We all know him as the IB person in the school. Since he was young, he was introduced to PYP and the MIP program. With all the hardships that he had undergone, 13 years of IB program came to an end. Through his English literature, he used literary devices to maximize people. Through mathematics, he used statistical knowledges to work out the percent he would need to achieve a 7. Most importantly, through biology, he was known to be the spine. He was the pillar of our biology class. Everyone knows and would agree that his endeavor in his studies allowed him to reach his current position. There will be no other person who will be more worthy to deserve his current state. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me introduce my dearest friend, study mate, and the valedictorian, Tcis JOUNG.
Thank you very much, Eric, for that very kind introduction. I should here also acknowledge my dear friend Patrick John Wonjun, who is very integral to our biology study group. The topic of today's talk for me will be about hands. Traditional Korean medicine dictates that the hand is intimately connected with all parts of the body. As such, massages and acupuncture given to the hand, have long been regarded as powerful reflections of our body and soul. In the Christian tradition, Christ's wounds come to mind, the wounds through which the nails penetrated, the wounds through which the blood of the Lamb was spilt in sacrifice to God, the Eternal Father. The wounds St. Thomas had to see to believe. My first days at Tcis were filled with excited, firm hands, with every man's wish on board. For some, they came with the tide. For others, they sailed on forever in the horizon, never out of sight, but never landing, as Zora Neale Hurston might have put it. The calm but excited hands I shook fervently were gradually replaced by the frenzied hands that thumped down on keyboards like machine guns. As hands frantically typed their extended essays, their written assignments, their mathematics IAs, the day before they were due, these fighting hands were soon blistered by the shrapnel that flew from the IB Cardiff Assessment Center. That's where the IB exams are made. That's right, Mrs. Smith, right? Right, there we are, sorry. As the blood spilt on our hands due to our interior battle begins to clot through the miraculous powers of platelets, thrombin, fibrinogen, and fibrin, Mr. D, I think he's appreciating this. New challenges await the power of our greatest weapon, the pen. As the greatest academics of our times, our hands will be the powerful tools we use to change the world, not for our own good, not for our own honor, but for the future generations and for our loved ones. We will be making the most real differences in the real world and making the most real decisions. Yet, when we come back to TCIS, we will be like ghosts looking back at the living. And I see the living out there. Like the banished gods in our IB literature higher level exam. Oh no, I see some frantic faces there. As they sit out the centuries in the forest clearing, we will, as our predecessors have done, look at the frenzy of their frantic hands. Looking at the school reflectively, yet with pride, with nostalgia, as we look back at the living, our successors will ask, as St. Thomas asked Jesus, to see our hands, to see the reflections of our souls. They will ask whether it was worth it all, and about the future. Unsure, bewildered, but frantic, we will show them the blisters of our hands and the work that they have reaped. We will roam the school reflectively with nostalgia as we look back at the living. We will, as our predecessors have done, pity their frantic hands. We will look at the frantic hands measuring oxygen levels for their IB biology IAs. We will look at their frantic hands as they type their 4,000-word extended essay the day before it's due. We will look at the frantic, confused faces of our successors, and we will laugh absurdly, and we will embrace them tenderly like brothers and sisters. We will tell them, as our predecessors have done, it will get better. It will get better. Is that a lie? I'm not sure. How many times, though, have our predecessors said that to us? How many times have we been consoled by those blistered hands? Yet today, we do not graduate alone. We graduate today as a cohort. We graduate as a part of a wider community with common values. We graduate in union with thousands of IB students scattered throughout the world. This is something special, that we share the experience of writing an extended essay, the experience of taking theory of knowledge, the experience of taking CAS with IB students throughout the world. Among us have come the greatest intellectuals of our times, a co-founder of Facebook, did you know that? A Governor General of Canada, a Prime Minister, a King, and a Supreme Leader of a democratic People's Republic. I think, though, he may need some reflection on his caring skills, though he's very good at risk-taking, yes. Someone had a good laugh there. Okay. I recall my own experiences within the IB, which began 13 arduous long years ago, in a PYP school in Australia. The fondest memory of PYP I have was during Christmas, when we made decorations using chains of newspaper strips as a class. I can recall that despite inadequate English, we could somehow, and I think this is something we can all empathize with, we could somehow communicate in our innocence. With a fervent desire for success and a love of each other, we were able to speak to each other and love one another despite barriers of religion, ethnicity, and language. For me, this was speaking in tongues, as the biblical folks might have called it. We were able to talk and understand through the innocence and love that permitted us to do so. This memory I took with me. It guided my every word and deed throughout my time in the International Baccalaureate. For instance, I was happy to be a risk-taker and try the unique, exotic cuisine of CJ food. I was happy to open my mind and begin to untangle the topsy-turvy world of French, Norwegian, Latin, and Spanish, Français, Norsk, Lingua Latina, and Espanol. I was happy to stand up against those that denigrated other faiths at our school. I pray we can stand up and fight for what is right, no matter what the popular belief, no matter what the establishment says about, no matter what. Here I must thank some key individuals in my academic life who have put up with my reckless sense of justice. First and foremost, I would like to thank my mother and father. My father was unfortunately unable to be here, but they supported me through my long and arduous time as friend and family. I would also like to thank my grandparents as well as my uncle and aunt. And I would also like to thank all of my subject teachers throughout my time, not just here, but in PYP, MYP, and in the DP. As we graduate, remember the sacredness of our hands. All hands are sacred as symbolic of body and soul, yet our hands have also been sanctified and tested through IB exams. We must not let them be desecrated by doing pointless things with them. The world is a dangerous place, as all realists know. GP joke there. Global politics, sorry. Oh. The same hands that can be used to save lives are being used this minute to trigger guns in warfare. The same hands are being used to discriminate on the basis of race and religion. We students, teachers, and parents must recognize this threat to the international culture. We must stand up to discrimination wherever it occurs. Worst of all, however, some hands are being sacrilegiously used to take AP examinations. We must remember Mother Teresa's words in a more serious note, that we must, quote, give our hands to serve, and our hearts to love. We must face the real world because without actions, hands begin to rot, and the pathogens, Mr. D, are able to win. And by pathogens, I don't only just mean AP, but injustice itself, which we must slay using the pen in our hands. Let us stand proud and go forth with our beautiful hands. Make the final walk of pride across the stage as we shake hands with Dr. Penland one last time. Let us turn the page for the next chapter of our lives as we proclaim the good news of the world, and let us fight injustice with the greatest weapon of all, not the great mace or the grand sword, but rather the little pen. For let us love, for that is what our hearts are made for, as Saint Therese de Lisieux said, and let us serve, for that is what our hands were crafted for by the beautiful hands and breath of God, our Almighty Father. Thank you very much.